Welcome to math class and teacher Black Adam. We require to find the midterm. Those are informations that we're given, a midpoint between A and B. And we know that the midpoint has to have two coordinates, x and y. And we also know that x is the sum of the two coordinates, two x's, that's -3 plus 5. And then we get half of that, so which means we divide by 2 for midpoint. So midpoint is half, and also that's going to give us 2/2, making it 1. So x is 1, and then we need to find y. Y is going to be the sum of the coordinates. So the sum of the y coordinates is going to be -1. That is negative. For y, that's -3 plus 1 divided by 2, that's -1. And the next part, we required to find the length AB. So the length AB in a set form. So AB, we have to, that's x1 minus x2 squared, and then y1 plus y minus y2 squared, and then find the root of it. So it's -3 minus -5 squared plus -3 -1 squared. So that will give us -8 squared plus -4 squared. Okay, so that will mean that we have 64 plus 16. So 64 plus 16 giving us root 80, so that's going to be root 80. So that will mean factors of 80, that's 16 times 5, so we can find a root of 16 and apply that root of 5, and then root of 16, that gives us 4, so it's going to be 4 root 5. Okay, that's in the set form without the use of calculator. If you use a calculator, you probably get the same thing. So we need to find 4.3 perpendicular bisector. But perpendicular bisector of them, so that's what they say there. They need a perpendicular equation for a perpendicular bisector of AB. So it has to be bisector, means the AB has to be cut in the middle. So we already have a middle part. So we have A, which is 5 to 1, and then we have B, which is -3, -3. And then we can use the E later. So we need to know the gradient of the perpendicular. So we need to find the gradient, and we know that when you multiply the two gradients, our product should be -1. So what's the gradient of AB? So AB, that's gonna be change in y over change in x. So that's -3, -1, and that will be -3, -5. So that will give us -4 over -8, so that gives us +1/2. So that's the gradient for AB. Now the perpendicular gradient will be the other gradient that we need to calculate for M2. So I am given that gradient of AB, which is half, and then so half multiplied by gradient 2 is equal to -1, and then solving for M2. So we multiply by, see, this is half, so it's going to be opposite, inverse 2/1 both sides. So M2 is going to be -2. And now that's the equation that we have, is y is equal to mx plus c. We need to find y coordinates and x coordinates and the gradient, so that we find the value of c. So x and y there, we're using the e, because they say that's the part that has to pass through. So choose the correct coordinate. So it passes through, pass at E. So E has a coordinate of 1 is equal to -1. Alright, so we substitute -1 for y, 1 for x, the gradient is -2, and then solving for c. So c will be -1 plus 2, so that's going to be c is equal to 1. So c will be 1. So now we have c, we have gradient, and then our equation is complete. So it's -2x plus 1. That's the equation of the perpendicular line that passes through the midpoint. And then later we're going to do the second question, that's the value of p. So p is just 1 mark, either you calculate it or you find a better way to, so we need to show. Okay, so we're gonna show that, okay, there's the radius, so the radius there would mean that they share the same value. So y there for that point is going to be BC's radius. So B has a coordinate of -3, -3. So y is, because they share the same y value, then P is going to be -3. But you can also use the equation to calculate, yeah. So the other thing that we have to do, we can also use the equation that passes through the line, then C is going to be using 4.5. C has coordinate of 2 to -3, and then we have coordinates which is x minus, remember that we need to show that, so it's minus radius. So radius, there's x minus the radius coordinate, and then y minus the radius coordinate squared. Then from there, that's minus the coordinate in the center. Okay, so that's what we did, the center there, and then we need to find what the radius is. So the radius is distance AC. So we have our A once again is 5, I think. Our A is 5 to 1. Okay, that's coordinate for our A. And then we need to find AC. So that would be that distance AC. We use the same distance formula as 5 minus 2 squared plus 1 minus bracket negative minus -3, and all of that squared. So our radius will be root of 3 squared plus root of 4 squared. So that's going to be root 9 plus 16. So that's going to be root 9 plus 16 is 25. So it's root 25 to give us 5. The other thing that we do, we now come to our coordinates x, y. X minus 2 squared plus y -3, so the y plus 3 squared. So that is, we have that part there. So that's going to give us x squared minus 4x plus 4. So that's that part. And then that's going to give us y squared plus 6y plus 9. So that's that part there. And then 25 for that part. 5 squared is 25. Then is equals to, so we like terms is x squared, that's x squared, and then we have y squared. Okay, that plus that gives us 16, and then so 16 minus 25. Okay, so that is going to be about 6y there. So put all the coordinates. So 16 minus 25, 9 plus 4. Okay, 9 plus 4, that's 13. 13 minus 25, that's -12. So that gives us -12. And then we simplify everything, bring all the groups together, and eventually gives us our answer. Right, so the next question is 4.6. So 4.6, that we use the equation. So we need to know the value of t, so that the straight line will not intersect the cycle. So it doesn't have to be part of the cycle. So the equation there is equals to 0. So we know that y is equals to tx plus plus 8. So that's be 2x tx plus 8. And then so we substitute y. So wherever there is y, we put tx plus x, and that's going to be y squared is tx plus 8 squared. Wherever there's y, again 6y, the bracket tx plus 8 minus 12 is equals to 0. And then from there we expand that part. Expanding that to give us t squared, x squared. That will be plus 16 with tx plus 64. So that's that part. and then there's negative 4x, we write it as it is, and then plus 6 tx, we multiply that, and plus 48. So that is that minus 12 gives us 0. And then from there, what we have to do, we have to group like terms, we have to factor. So we factor the tx there, so that will be t1 plus t, no, bracket x squared, so that's going to be x squared there. So we factor out the x squared, and we have to factor the x there. Remember the makes 22, so 22 tx, and then we have 4x there, so which means minus 4x, so it's going to be plus bracket 22t minus 4 bracket x. So we just factor the x out. So we have constants there, so we add all the values. 64 plus 48 minus 12 gives us 100. So that's going to be 100 is equals to 0. Now that is the a, that's b, that's c. So it's quadratic formula. So using the delta, which is b squared minus 4ac, we know that our a is 1 plus t, that's t squared actually. So b is equals to 22t minus 4, and c is 100. Okay, so there's not intersect, so the delta has to be less than 0, so it must not make sense. Okay, so delta is less than 0. I remember that our a is 1 plus t squared. Okay, 1 plus t squared then, and so we substitute, so that's going to be b squared, so 22t minus 4 squared minus 4. Our a there is 1 plus t squared, and then we have our c there, which is 100. Okay, and all of that should be less than 0. Then we expand further, so we expand that one there. That will give us 22 times 22 gives us 484. It's going to be 484 t squared minus let's just calculate for I'm supposed for 8 times 2 again, so that's going to be 176 t plus that times that is okay, plus 16, and then that means that is going to be negative 400 t okay, negative 400, it's negative 400 t squared, and then from there we simplify, so that will give us, like, we group all the term numbers, 84 t squared minus 176 t, and that plus that gives us negative 384. All of that less equals to 0. So we divide both sides by 4, we simplify. That will give us 21 t squared minus 44 t minus okay, let's see the calculation. Yeah, it's minus 96. All of that less than 0. So now we have to factor. So factoring equations is just, it's another lesson, but if you do your factorization right, you will get 3t, and then that's 7t, that's a factor of 21 there, 7 times 3, and then that one there is going to be 4, and then that is going to be 24. So that's a factor of negative 96. So now we need to find the inequality, which one satisfies. We're looking for a value of less than 0, so it's 3t plus 4, and then we have also 7t minus 24, and then we have the product of them, so it's 3t plus 4 multiplied by 7t minus 24. So those are the factors, and then we need to know which one satisfies. So that's going to be, solving for t there is going to be negative 4 over 3t, and that's going to be 24 over 7. Okay, so all the values, so in that one is negative, positive for that other part, and then negative, negative, and positive for the other part, which 24 over 7. So multiplying that, have positive, negative, positive. So looking for the middle part. So that means that we have we have negative 4 over 3, less than t less than 24/7. So that's what satisfies. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to follow, subscribe.